Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
So much for a final weekend of summer. I know it's not officially the end of summer, but Labor Day always feels like the unofficial end to summer. And boy, Mother Nature just kind of gave a nice little, I don't know. She decided not to shine a light on Cleveland, especially when the air show, one of my favorite events of all time and favorite weekends out of the year, is here in town. Boy, Mother Nature said, Cleveland, yeah, maybe you guys get some rain that you've been missing for a while, and we'll save that for the final long weekend of your summer. But hey, we're still all having a great time. There's a lot of sports to talk about, so why not jump right in? As Bob and Millersburg told you, this is the voice of the land right here on the Big Play Network. We are brought to you by Vector Technical. They'll get the right person in the right job the first time. More information on them to come as the night goes on. As we said, part of the Big Play Network and partner with LPV Productions. I am Kevin Arnold. That is the name that if you are watching us on VTL_pod, YouTube, or Big Play social media, wherever you're watching us, my face, that's Kevin Arnold. You'll see the name on the bottom. Always Positive Jay. His name will pop up when he comes on the screen.
There I am.
And the person that doesn't come on the screen is Audio, or our producer extraordinaire. His real name is Peter Tellup, but he never wants to be on camera. So we just call him Audio as if he is our artificial intelligence of the show. And
my intelligence has often been called artificial.
I think a lot of ours have throughout our lives. I think a lot of ours have. So I think it's just time to just jump right in because we don't really have any well wishes or anything.
No, we just want everyone to have a good, nice, long weekend.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess well wishes to Serena Williams because, if we're going to jump right into sports and try to tie in a segment that we don't really have anything for tonight, our well wishes, prayers, or whatever, but to the ultimate GOAT, Serena Williams, who bowed out in the third round of the U.S. Open. She's going to be stepping away from the professional game. I know she doesn't want to use the retirement word. She's kind of using evolution. She's going to take care of her family. She might pop in from time to time. You know that these athletes always get that itch. And if it's an individual sport, there's always that ability to jump in for, if you stay within your training, jump in for an event.
She's definitely got the ability to just jump in. Probably.
Yeah. And she'd be one that would do like a tune-up type event leading into a Grand Slam major event for tennis. I mean, she ends with 23 Grand Slams. I know this was kind of like that. It almost had that feeling after those first two rounds. Is she going to get to go out on her own terms? Like, does she get to go out, riding that magic carpet that a lot of people have done? I know Peyton Manning kind of did it. There's been countless other athletes in time that their last year, they won it all. It would have been a nice story, but I just loved seeing those crowds that were there. I know that there was a lot of celebrities on hand. But I mean, an ultimate GOAT in sports. I mean, like up there amongst people that we have looked up to kind of growing up, and to see her stepping away, it's kind of crazy you realize what kind of time we're in. You finally realize, like those are the moments where, 2022. Oh yeah. I've been watching her since like back then.
Yeah. It's weird. Cause it's like literally as long as you can remember, like really paying attention to sports, she's been just dominating the sport, dominating it.
And classy in her
totally
in her post-match I know interview on court saying there is no Serena without Venus. Like the Williams sisters transcended tennis. Like and then to see Tiger in the crowd for one of those rounds, I mean, a guy that transcended the game of golf, and like people that brought more eyes to a sport that people don't talk about, sports that people don't talk about enough. It was just kind of like a surreal moment. You got LeBron congratulating, you got all these other athletes and dignitaries coming out as you pan the crowd, it's like Diana Ross and
if I made a Mount Rushmore of like sports players in my lifetime of just the greatest of the greatest, it's her. I just lost it and you said it. It's got to be LeBron's got to be on there.
Okay, yeah, LeBron.
Oh, Tiger Woods. In the fourth.
Is it Tom? Is it Tom Brady?
Oh, it's Tom Brady. Yeah, it's Tom Brady.
I
Yeah.
mean, like,
As soon as you said it, I'm like, yeah, that he's probably he's going for the GOAT of GOATs. Like that's what he's trying to accomplish at this point in his career. If he wins another one, like he's in that conversation.
I may always argue against that, but again, it's to the same degree why I am on the MJ LeBron argument that I find to be redundant and ridiculous at this point. I don't partake in it, but if I were, I would be on the LeBron side over MJ, is because and I know why people are saying Tom can be up there with the GOAT of GOATs because of the amount of championships he has. But I mean, athletes, athletic achievements, and ability. Yes, he can throw a football really, really well, and he can bring NFL teams together really well. And now he's won with 2 different teams. That's all well and good. He wouldn't be my top GOAT of GOATs if you're then to go through the list of GOAT of GOATs. But if you then get into that conversation, then your list is going to be completely different than someone else because you have a different GOAT in a different sport than someone else.
Like,
yeah, again,
you're arguing against like people in different generations and stuff, and it's just hard.
Yeah, that's why
it's all about that kind of conversation's all opinion based. There is no wrong answer.
That's why it only gets like 30 seconds.
Yeah, and that's why we're going to end this now.
That's why we don't. We
got much bigger news to talk about.
Yes, we do, and we do have Hayden Grove of Cleveland.com coming on, and of course, musician. We got a fun story.
Oh, I can't wait to talk to him about that.
I really want to get into kind of his kind of emotions on that, but we'll talk about that more as we get into it. I guess if we were to get into some Cleveland sports though, and kind of transition out of our well wishes to the Guardians offense. I mean, is that a little harsh?
Get well soon.
Get well soon. Missing. Have you seen them? Like, what is going on with that offense? It just vanished.
Yeah.
I just picked up some milk for the kids today, and I'm pretty sure that their picture was on their offensive picture was on the bottle. So.
Missing in action.
The offense is in the upside down and Stranger Things.
I don't know.
Who knows? It's bad. It's not the time of the year you really want to be doing this.
Right. And I think that's where the conversation needs to be. And I think what we tend to do is kind of help people see things in a clearer light. You know, there's going to be the people that are like, oh, well, I was told that this team is supposed to be really good and going to be making the playoffs. I'm jumping on the bandwagon now. I'm watching a team that's only scored 1 run in 4 games. What's going on? Like this can't happen at all. No, you don't want this kind of bottom of the roller coaster hill to happen at this time of the year if you are in a pennant race. But this is what happens in baseball, the ebbs and flows. You got to find a way to not allow this to happen. It seems like the Guardians, and when they were the Indians, baseball in general, seems like if they are making a run at something, August is where they make that run, and then you kind of sputter to the end, to the finish line in September. That's not what you want to see. Now, this team's kind of been on like a 2-week trend where they're able to turn it around. They go through adversity. They've been through it. They can get out of it. But boy, it's not good for a young team that I think kind of needs to see this through. It's been a fun season, and nothing is going to take away from that. But at this point, to be in the lead of your division at this point of the season, the final month coming down the stretch, I think for a young team, we saw it with the Cavs. They only made it in the play-in, and then they didn't get into the actual playoffs. This young team, I think, could use getting into the actual playoffs because that wild card versus a play-in in the NBA, 2 completely different things.
Oh, totally. And they don't have the playing like one playoff game thing.
It's not. It's like a 3-game series.
Thing, and it's all in one place too, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I mean, like you need home field. That'd be great. But yeah, you just need that experience in this team. They're so young. It's going to help them so much in the long run. But you got to get that offense going, man. I don't know what they're going to do. Do they call up some younger guys and try to see if they can find lightning in a bottle again? Or do you do what Tito normally does and he just kind of rolls with his guys and lets them know, like, I have faith in you. Don't give up on yourself because I ain't giving up on you. And that's where he's masterful at. And at the same time, sometimes he leaves guys in there too long too.
Yeah. And is it in their heads?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you go to Seattle, you lose 3 of 4.
I don't know what's in the water in Seattle, but we're never allowed. I don't want them drinking water or eating anything in that city again. Because it all started in that city.
I mean, I've been there. I came back to Cleveland feeling okay. I don't know.
Yeah, but no one was throwing you 90-mile-an-hour fastballs
That's
either.
true. That's true. I was not experiencing anything like that. It's just I don't know. Something happened last weekend that has now transitioned through this entire week. And we've talked about these kind of weeks throughout the season because we're one of the few that continue to actually talk baseball on a show like this. But also we want to see our teams do well. And we've kind of been behind, whether we've been able to see it or not, or hear it or not. We have been following to the best of our ability what's been going on with this team and been connected and on the bandwagon no matter what. Still on it. I don't know. I've never seen
the roller coaster ride continues. Like we were literally on a high, and I felt like we were just plateauing there and just going and going and going, and then we just boom went right back down. And right now we're just staying coasting at the bottom of the hill right now.
And the it's not even that they're losing like 4-3 or 4-2 and they're committing errors. They're the ball isn't bouncing their way.
2-0.
They're not
scoring at all.
Like not at all. And it's like ever since I watched the first game against Seattle in Seattle last week, because it was on YouTube TV, kind of considered national televised game where more people have access to it. They said, both these teams are young teams. They're playing the game the right way. There's one difference between these two teams. We didn't think it was as big of a deal as we've seen, unfortunately, in the matchup between the Guardians and the Mariners. Home run versus no home runs. The home run pop ability in your lineup versus very limited ability for home runs. And it's gone to the ridiculous degree with this Guardians offense. Like they're not even playing small ball right now to get guys home. They're getting guys on base. I think they had
them in running scoring position, and that just kills you.
What was it, like 16 hits in like the last 2 games? There was a stretch there between the Orioles and the Mariners series, or at least the first 2 games of the Mariners series. 16 hits, 1 run. That's not good enough. You got to have guys that are going to step up
and
not be an easy out.
They're not going against easy teams like
Seattle
and the Orioles. The Orioles are a massive surprise, almost as big as the Guardians are. Like, in Seattle is tough, man. That bullpen is nasty, just as nasty as ours is almost.
But where do you build your confidence going into the postseason, especially when you make a run and you win your division?
Now
it's against the other teams that are really, really good. You got to find a way. Yes, they have a great pitching staff. I'm not taking anything away from Seattle and saying that what they've done this year and the ability to get into the playoffs maybe for the first time in 20 seasons. That's no facade. That's no joke. They have great young talent. They have great young pitching on down the board.
They got probably who's going to be the rookie of the year on the team too.
Probably. Yeah. And Julio Rodriguez. But you're getting guys on base. You got to make these pitchers pay. When good pitchers get in a jam, good to great pitchers, when they get in a jam, they are susceptible. But when you let them get out, then that energy starts to rise. You see those emotions coming off the mound, and then that feeds back into the clubhouse. The offense for that team comes back out, and they push another run or 2 across. It's not like Seattle's scoring a bunch of runs on us either, but they're doing the little things. They're getting the run here, the insurance here when they need it. Guardians are not, and that's the type of week they're in, but it is the wrong time of the season. So I'm not here to completely demean the Guardians and say like everything that they've done up to this point means nothing, but you got to get it right faster than you don't have this April swoon where you don't lose your division, but you can kind of get yourself behind. This isn't April. It's not. It's September. 1 month of games left. You got to find a way because I think the only way the Guardians are getting in is by winning the division. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, they could get a wild card, but you don't want to. Just win your division.
Those teams are
take care of business. Don't rely on anybody else. You got a bunch of division games coming up. You got to win all those series, and then we're gonna finish with the Royals. And you pretty much got to sweep them. Like, thank God we have a nice, easy schedule at the end of the year, but there's division games, and we're going to have to take care of them now.
And you would have liked to have won some of these games against better teams again, because then that's how you pad your lead in a division race. Then you can kind of stat pad by going against the lower teams in your division, who we know are not very good and playing to get back on the golf course, get to their off season at this point. You got to find a way to take care of business, and it's got to happen sooner rather than later. But it's still a fun young team and a bright future for this team. So I don't want to take anything away from that. You got to have still the present in mind. And that's what Terry Francona preaches all the time. Go out, win the day. I think they're in a rain delay right now. They're still trying to play from what I saw on ESPN. I don't know how you're going to play with what's going on outside today. But
yeah, I don't think so.
It's supposed to rain until like Wednesday at this point.
Yeah.
Mentioning rain, we might have got a guy in the Cavs that can make it rain. That's for sure. And he makes it rain on the court, though.
We might. So we'll touch on that a little bit ourselves and with Hayden Grove. Plus, hey, it's the last Sunday without NFL football. A lot of people are getting excited. Where's everybody's excitement level for the Browns season, especially with Hayden Grove? We will get with him coming up here and, of course, give our thoughts on a lot of the news that kind of came out this week. It felt like a long week, a lot of news, and yet very little, I think, still happens. So we'll get to all of that, and we'll welcome Hayden Grove here in just a little while. You are tuned in, though, to the Voice of the Land right here on the Big Play Network.
Whether you're looking to hire new talent or start a new career, Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has helped thousands of job seekers advance in their career with reputable partners throughout Northeastern Ohio. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. With an above-average hire-in rate of 1 in 4 candidates, Vector works hard to connect the right person with the right opportunity the first time. Vector Technical hires for skilled manufacturing and light industrial work and is sure to have a career that you've been looking for. To learn more, visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land here on the Big Play Network. Kevin Arnold, always positive, Jay, and audio. Our producer extraordinaire went to break, and we kind of teased the fact that we had somebody. We will have Hayden Grove on from Cleveland.com here in just a little bit. We're working to get him on, and also sharing on our social media pages. Make sure you follow us at VTL_pod, at Voice of the Land on Facebook. You can hit the thumbs up like button on there. And we do have a YouTube channel, Voice of the Land Podcast. And then follow Big Play on all social media sites, along with LPV Productions as well. Did not get the Big Play and Big Play 216 retweets yet, but we will get those up as we get Hayden Grove on here in just a little bit. But before we do that, one thing that we are going to talk to him about is the newest addition to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And that was huge news this week. You know, we're only on one time a week, so we always miss the breaking news somehow, some way, right, Peter?
Seems to be.
You know, and
trying to resend emails right now behind the scenes with Hayden.
Yeah, we definitely do not hide anything that we do on the show. And as I look down at my phone, I'm not ignoring people that are tuning into us and watching us on video. I'm just trying to get our retweets up so that more people tune in for the show. But Donovan Mitchell, I did.
Yeah, a little bit.
Donovan Mitchell is, I don't know how to feel about this trade in terms of like, I was one that really liked Colin Sexton. There are people that were immediately happy because they saw Colin Sexton was gone. I don't want to celebrate getting Donovan Mitchell as much as I love having Donovan Mitchell here at the expense of Colin Sexton or any other player that was part of it. I wanted Abaji to be here because that's a shooter that you need, a role player to play a role. Now you're again missing the 3-and-D type player on this team. Lauri Markkanen, you can't do your 3 7-footers on the floor no more. But boy, if you can get a guy like Donovan Mitchell, you gotta make the trade. And if you can make Knicks fans feel even worse, New York fan, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was enjoying the Knicks fans not enjoying it, especially a certain Stephen A. Smith. I love him, but when he gets mad about that kind of stuff, it's hilarious to watch him flip out about it. I love the trade. Like, I loved Colin Sexton. I thought he would have been good as a 6-man because him and Garland didn't really mesh very well together.
Mhm.
Their just styles didn't go well. But I loved his game. I love his effort, his passion, and I'm going to miss him a lot. Like, he was probably my favorite player since this rebuild, but he's gone. It is what it is. And I'm glad he got paid because that's what he wanted to get a big contract, and he got his big contracts. I wish him well. Now he's the man, and I think he's in the flourish being the man again. That's in Utah. But I love Donovan Mitchell. Like, he was one of my favorite players when I got to see the Jazz come on TV. I stopped and watched because that dude just, one, he's a highlight reel, and two, one of my favorite things is he will close games. Like, he is a closer for sure.
The one thing to play devil's advocate, and this is not because I don't like the trade. Clearly, I love the trade because a week out from the NFL season, what am I wearing? For those that are tuning in to just the audio version on Google, Spotify, Apple, podcast platforms, everywhere, I am wearing a Cavaliers shirt because that is what I am all about. I want to see good basketball here. I'm maybe even more excited to kind of give a thought on Brown season. I'm probably more excited for the Cavs season than the Brown season right now. And that's just where I'm at after a tumultuous offseason, unprecedented offseason.
I put a poll out, and it's tough. And people are like totally passionate. Like, it's either this way and it's not even close. And I'm like, no. And it was, which team is the closest to winning the next championship? And technically it's the Guardians because they are in the playoffs first. But like, being realistic, I don't see them winning the World Series this year, but they have a great core to go that way. I don't see the Cavs winning the championship this year, nor the Browns. But those next few years, those teams all have a massive chance to win a championship. Kevin, which one would you pick? I said the Cavs personally.
I would say the Cavs because they just seem to push those. They just seem to push those buttons. The Guardians, while they have a great young core, they're not officially in the playoffs yet, guys. They're in a playoff position, but they're not officially in. So while that is the next team to have an opportunity, like you said, Jay, I don't see them winning it this year. I don't know who can get to that point faster between the Guardians and the Cavs. Then you get the Browns, and when you actually have Deshaun Watson back playing football, which we all agree he is a great football player, what is this roster really going to look like at that time? We know what they'll have this year when he gets back after 11 games. Mm-hmm. What will the record look like after those 11 games? What will the roster look like once he gets a full off season and he knows he can start the season from game one? We don't know. Dan Gilbert has been the one to go all in. When it's time to go all in, he has gone all in, and allowed the guys that make the right moves or have the knowledge to make the right moves. He's allowed them to do so and given them the money, the tools to do so. But we want to welcome in our guest right now, who is joining us, and it is Hayden Grove from Cleveland.com and local musician as well. Hayden, thank you so much for taking some time tonight. I know we had some connection issues we apologize about tonight, but we appreciate you taking some time to join us tonight.
No problem at all. The problem was that your messages went to my junk folder, so I had to go look through the junk folder. You are not junk, and I apologize that you were sent to the junk folder. That's rude of them.
Some people might think we are, or some people might, but we appreciate that we aren't junk. But we again, I've had some emails going to junk lately that shouldn't be going to junk. I don't know why, but it just seems to be a thing recently with different emails. But Hayden, we were talking about, as you were jumping on, we were kind of talking about the Cavs and Donovan Mitchell being traded here, breaking news during the week, and kind of only first time for us to react to it. But Jay posed the question, and I guess we'll start off with the ultimate question. Which of these teams right now in this town, with all the excitement around the Cavs, the Guardians have had a fun season, but in a lull offensively, Browns, we just don't know what they'll look like. Which one is the closest, not necessarily to winning a championship? We'll keep it at which one has the ability to have the most success right now. Who's the closest to getting to that mountaintop faster?
Well, I think that's a really complicated question because I think it comes in multiple kind of things. What I'll say about the Guardians is that they're the bottom of the totem pole, and here's why: they have a good team. They have a great front office, but their guys are so young. This year was not supposed to go this way. This year was not supposed to be a playoff contending year. They didn't add anybody at the deadline. They didn't add anybody in the offseason. So the Guardians, for my intents purposes, are the lowest on the totem pole. I think they're still a good team. I think they can still contend, and the young guys can get better and better, but I think they're at the bottom of the totem. The Browns, I think, is solely contingent on how they go through these first 11 games. Will Jacoby Brissett be able to get them to 6-5, 7-4? If they can do that, then I think the Browns have a very good shot of making the playoffs and being a really good team, because I think Deshaun is that good of a quarterback. We can, all the off the field stuff, we're just not going to talk about that right now. But I'm just talking about on the field in terms of pure football. Deshaun Watson, the best quarterback the Browns have ever had, right? So if he comes in and he's Deshaun Watson the way that we know him to be, you add him to Nick Chubb, you add him to Kareem Hunt, you add him to Amari Cooper, David Njoku, you add him to that defense. I think that team is as good, maybe not as good as the Bills or Kansas City, but they're right up there in the AFC. The Cavs, I think, is the top tier though, and here's why. They have not only superstar players now in Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, but they have a future in Evan Mobley. They have, legitimate all-star players at 4 positions. I think that they're the closest. I do. I think that if the Cavaliers go all in and make 1 or 2 more moves, maybe add another bench piece, and in the next coming year, and if even if a guy like Ricky Rubio comes back and he's healthy, I think that this Cavs team could really make some noise in the East. So I'm going to go Cavaliers, Browns, Guardians in that order.
I would have to agree completely with that one, actually.
Yeah, and based on talent that they have, and touching on the Cavs with Mitchell now, and having it kind of almost a Guardians like move, bringing in a talented player while still having years of control moving forward. With that move, did you see take any issue with the details in the trade, or was that how the rest of Cleveland and even us here on the show took it? Just pure excitement to have a guy like Mitchell to pair with Garland in that backcourt to add to what's already here.
I mean, if we're going to be completely honest, I think when you look at the trade and you look at what the Cavaliers gave up, I think that maybe Donovan Mitchell isn't better than those 3 players combined, but he's way better than any one of those players individually. We don't know what Ochai Agbaji is. We know that Larry Markin is up and down, 3-point shooter, not a guy that can get you a bucket when you need one. Colin Sexton can get you a bucket, but kind of a black hole offensively, needs a lot of pounding of the basketball to get what he needs. I think Donovan Mitchell's a perfect fit. So those 3 guys weren't really going to be part of your future. They were kind of hemming and hawing with Colin Sexton anyway. I don't think they were going to sign him to a long-term extension regardless. They were probably going to let him play out that contract. Larry Markkinen, you don't really know. You know what you have. I mean, a guy, like I said, a guy that can shoot, a guy that's inconsistent. Agbaji, kind of a 3-and-D guy. So you really didn't give up anything massive in terms of your long-term success. And those 3 unprotected first-round picks, you're expecting to be good. So you're expecting those picks to be later on in the draft anyway. And if this is something you've not thought about, the 2024 pick with Bronny James is still in play.
Yeah, I mean, the Stepien rule, unlike where the Browns, they had to give up the 3 picks and they're all in a row, like boom, boom, boom. We actually will have picks between those that we gave up because you can't do back-to-back. And what with you said with the players that we gave up, I always liken what Brian Windhorst said. In the NBA, when you trade, 4 quarters doesn't actually equal $1. Like, those are 4 great players, but none of them will actually equal what that one massive, awesome player that Donovan Mitchell is. Like, you can't just get those guys any given day, especially here, because we can't sign free agents. We have to trade for these kind of guys.
Right. I think you hit the nail on the head, Jay. I think that if you add up Larry Markkinen, Colin Sexton, and Ochai Agbaji, I'll give say we're on the dollar scale, I'll give Larry Markkinen 30 cents. I'll give Colin Sexton 35 cents. So you're at 65, and I'll give I'll give Ochai Baji 15 cents. And then I'll give Donovan Mitchell 80 cents. You're getting more. You're getting 80 cents, and you're giving away 70 cents. So you're exactly right.
Yeah, and I mean, you have to take these swings, and the Cavs have shown that they're willing to do that when they do it. I feel like these two LeBron eras have really taught Dan Gilbert and this Cavs organization, who they continue to kind of bump guys up. It's very similar in terms of process between Guardians and Cavs, but Cavs having that ownership to kind of go for it when you really feel like it's there and continue to take those swings and not get afraid of those swings. I think that this Cavs organization has learned through those LeBron eras how to get better without him. And they're willing to take these shots, not thinking that they're going to get that storybook ending, not banking on getting that storybook ending like they had when he came back the second time to fulfill his promise, getting that storybook ending of, hey, this guy started with us. He's from here. He's going to end here. They're not banking on that anymore. And they're making basketball decisions.
Right. I'm not gonna sit here and say the Cavaliers haven't made basketball decisions. I think that's one thing David Griffin did extremely well. I mean, obviously, the first go around was a mess with LeBron. I think when LeBron came to Cleveland, back again, David Griffin had everything right in a row. You had Kyrie, you brought in Kevin Love. He made every move necessary when necessary to try to make that thing work. So I think this is a very different thing because you didn't know. You really didn't know. And I give Kobe Allman a ton of credit. You didn't know. Based on where these guys were drafted, you didn't know that Evan Mobley was going to be. You drafted him because you thought so, but you didn't know for sure. Darius Garland, he was kind of a risk of what they took him. He ended up being a right move. Colin Sexton actually might not have worked out the way that they wanted it to. So you don't know exactly what you have. Darius Garland, the first year in the league, was the worst player in the NBA, like by all the metrics. So I think this is a completely different thing. I think they saw what they had, and I think that they said, all right, we're gonna, this is our chance. We don't want to be hovering around the fourth seed. We want to go for it. Maybe, I think at the deadline, they'll add another piece to try to solidify this thing as they go to the postseason and maybe, try to continue to just get better and better.
I love my favorite thing about the whole story is the one where Donovan Mitchell's talking about he's on the golf course and he finds out that they still have Allen, Garland, Love, and all these great, and why can't I think of the center's name? Evan Mobley. And he just starts flipping out so happy on the golf course. Like that means a lot. Like he wants to be here. He knows that this team's great. And he was going from what was a rebuild in Utah to a team now that's in contention. I don't know if they could win it all, but they are in contention. And anything can happen. Like, let's just say like someone on the Celtics goes down, Jason Tatum, because there's always someone that's going to go down with an injury and that team's going to fall. Brooklyn is a wild card. We don't know what they're going to do. You never know what Philly's going to do. Like the East is no longer dominated by LeBron. Like anyone can take the East. And like last year, before all our injuries, I would have said we could beat anybody in the NBA. I was not afraid to take on any given team. Then all the injuries happened. You watched Garland he didn't have no one to back him up, and he was just gassed at the end of the year. Now he's got Mitchell there. And he won't be gassed at the end of the year like he was last year. Like I am so looking forward to this year. I am unreal thrilled.
Well, I think that we also overlooked a little bit of the depth of this Cavs team. I mean, Karis LeVert did not have the year that he wanted to last year, but that does not mean he cannot have a good year this year.
And he was rushed in last year too, and then got hurt right away.
Right. So Karis LeVert can come in and be your sixth man. Let Isaac Okoro start at the three, bring some defensive presence there. You have Kevin Love coming off of one of his best years in the Cavaliers uniform, essential sixth man of the year.
He came in second place for that, I think.
Yeah, there is some depth issues. I mean, you don't really have another wing. Maybe Jetty. I mean, that's not something great, but Ricky Rubio ran the offense really well last year. I think Brook Lopez can come in and do a decent job as a backup center supplying defense. So they're kind of a deep team. I think they're a piece or two away from really being like, all right, we want to go win this NBA championship, but they're certainly in the right direction. That's all you can ask for.
And the advantage again is having these guys under contract and having several years to do so and not just having to go for it, having a rental player alongside, anything like that. You have that ability to actually still build year to year and not have to try to skip steps with this young group either. I think that is also going to be a big thing to the development and progression of these young guys.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right. It's a good combination of veterans. It's a good combination of young players. I think it's, I think the Cavaliers are doing what the Guardians have always tried to do, which is, try to have that future, but also that present. The Guardians have really never. I mean, to a point, I guess they have, but they've been trying to do that for the last couple of years. It's just really hard to do. Finally, they went with the whole youth movement, but Cavaliers are trying to string that gap between, competing right now and contending for the future. And I think they've done it pretty much perfectly to this point.
Hayden Grove from Cleveland.com is joining us. Hayden, do you have some time to stay with us here on the other side of the break just for a couple minutes? I want to talk Browns. I really want to get the story, especially from I did see your TikTok from the Michael Bublé concert. I would love to get your story from that outside of just having those 280 characters on Twitter. You got some time to stay with us?
Yeah, I owe you guys some time, so absolutely.
Absolutely. So we will be right back. We will have Hayden Grove on the other side to continue talking, thoughts on the Brown season coming up. Can they actually hold the fort down to those first 11 games? And a special story that we saw on social media we wanted to give him spotlight to kind of talk about as well. This is the Voice of the Land right here on the Big Play Network.
Are you struggling to hire the right talent or maybe even find the right career? Vector Technical makes it easy. Since 1992, Vector has provided Ohio employers with a reliable process for hiring and have helped thousands of job seekers advance in their careers. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. We invest time to get to know each client and candidate personally. Vector places people in job opportunities that they are truly excited about. Interested in learning more? Visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com to see a full list of our current job opportunities and to find out what Vector Technical can offer you.
Get your gear at voiceoftheland.com/shop.
Jay, I see why they tell Peter he has artificial intelligence because, he says he's going to get you on that commercial for our gear, but he's still not on there, buddy. I don't know. I don't know. No, we kid. Peter puts way too much work into all this stuff. We can't thank him enough. And we, of course, thank Hayden Grove, who is still with us here on the Voice of the Land. We kind of went to break talking Cavs. Want to switch gears a little bit. When in the break, we were kind of talking Ohio State. So we'll kind of start right there, Hayden. A multitude of stars last night, a big-time matchup. People have been talking about it leading up to this season, a primetime game, number 2 versus number 5 in the Horseshoe. Ohio State takes down Notre Dame 21-10. The atmosphere last night had to have been electric down in Columbus.
It was one of the best I've ever experienced down there. I mean, just walking, on the field, and yes, LeBron took the most energy, is of course. I mean, he's the one. I think he's the greatest athlete in the world. But anyway, but then you see Jason Tatum and Andre Iguodala, and you see all these former Ohio State stars, and you see like people that you probably didn't expect to be there, and you're just like, wow, this is incredible. So it was a great atmosphere, and I think when it comes to the game, I think Ohio State fans, and I'm an alumni, I'm an alumnus. I was an Ohio State fan growing up. I think Ohio State fans have gotten spoiled to the fact that, they and I get it. You are competing now with Alabama. You're not competing with Iowa, Michigan State, right? You're competing with Alabama. You're competing with Georgia. I get that. But that's no reason to compare yourself in the first week to Georgia playing Oregon. Okay, Georgia had a great week. They beat the brakes off of Oregon. I get it. That's not to say that Ohio State isn't as good as Georgia because they didn't play that well against Notre Dame. What matters at the end of the day is that the defense looked a hell of a lot better. They made halftime adjustments. C.J. Stroud made the plays he needed to make, made the throws that he needed to make without Jackson Smith-Njigba. So, going through the season, you're going to get better. You're going to improve. We've seen Ohio State lose games and then end up having a really, really good season. Last night, instead of losing a game and playing poor all the way through, they turned it around. They found a way to be tough. They found a way to let that defense, prove to people that they're tougher than they were last year and that they're going to be different this year, which I think is obvious from last night. And I think it's a great start to the season. So I don't know where we got so nitpicky on Ohio State's opening game wins. I mean, you played a tough Notre Dame team, number 5 team in the country. I know the spread was 17. You probably could have covered it if time didn't run out on you. I was not concerned at all, and I think Ohio State played a really, really good game.
for me, when I was watching it, I started getting the feelings of the Oregon game from last year. I'm like, oh, don't let this happen again. But instead of like what happened last year, they didn't let that happen. They stopped them. That defense stepped up. And when they had to score at the end, they scored at the end. And that shows a lot of growth from last year, I thought.
That's my point. Exactly. It's a different team. It's a different defense. And, I think CJ is a very different quarterback. And last year he wouldn't have made the throws he made, but this year he did. People are saying, oh, well, how is he going to win a Heisman if he was 24 of 34 or something for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not the best offensive performance, but Notre Dame's a good team. They have a good defense. They always have. And they were without Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm not going to worry about, CJ Stroud's Heisman candidacy after 1 week. We've all had, teams that have great weeks. I think the Anthony Richardson kid from Florida, probably as of today, the Heisman Trophy frontrunner. That's going to change in 3 weeks. So I just think we should all relax and just enjoy the fact that, Ohio State played a good game. They got the job done. They proved themselves against a good.
Hayden might be going through. Yeah, I know. Driving back from a cookout with the family, but Hayden, I mean, like you're saying though, it's this team, and fans are always going to want more, and they remember January 1st when they're going up against Utah, and you see this offense scoring like 45 points or whatever, and Jigba's got 300 plus yards from Stroud. Stroud's got 500 yards in the game. They just think the offense is going to click just like that. There's been several months, 9 months between those two games. They're changing things on the defensive side of the ball. They're not letting a team score 40 on them or whatever, like Utah did. So yeah, you'd rather see a team that can get through adversity early through the year and build to playing their best football at the end than, again, playing so well early, blowing out some cupcake team. Then when you get into these tough games later on, you don't have these adversity type situations early in the year to go back on and say, hey, we got through this one. We can get through it again.
Not to mention, we did lose 2 wide receivers in the first round in Olave and Wilson. So
yes,
little adjustment to do, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then your best receiver goes down.
Right. And on top of all of that, that team last year, yeah, it was a great Rose Bowl win, but they lost to Michigan. They got pounded.
Yeah.
They were not tough. They were not tough last year. They got absolutely run over by Michigan. So I would much rather them be a little lackluster offensively and play great defensively so that they can play a game like that, because we know how good they are offensively. They're going to get better. They're going to get their timing down. It's going to be good. I'm more concerned about the defense, and you showed exactly what you got last night.
They did show exactly what. And toughness, I think, is mental toughness, physical toughness were probably the 2 biggest things that Ohio State needed to then be able to actually compete for the playoff spot and then actually take that spot and win it at the end. Physical and mental toughness are what Alabama has raised their kids on. Georgia competing every year. That's what they have shown. It's not just that they blow teams out. It's the toughness when things get tight, when things get close. They're not letting teams take control of them. They stay in it just enough for that other phase of the game to figure it out. So definitely a great game from Ohio State, and looked electric. Love seeing all the videos that you had on social media last night. But I know you also had a chance to be out and about with, Brown's training camp, and we all know that that's kind of topic number one that will always hit the button here in Cleveland. And a season where Jacoby Brissett will start the first 11 games. We talked about that in the last segment, and then see where this team is at. Hayden, I got to ask, from what you have seen or just feel as from even a fan side, media side, whatever it might be, what will those first 11 games look like? Can they get through slightly above 500 or playing 500 football to make that final 6-game push that we all hope Watson can do from a football standpoint?
I think they can. Yeah, I think they.
We may have lost
We're losing
connection there. Yeah, we're losing them. We'll get back to Hayden in a second. We'll get him back on here as he's kind of going through the some
I
of the.
think that
We got you back.
Oh,
He's gone again. I can't help but laugh like when
I
it
know.
pauses on his face.
I know. But we'll. See,
He's still.
them,
Sounds like a transformer.
I think that ability to Jacoby's got it back.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you're back. Yeah,
Sorry.
it's all right.
You know, I apologize, but yeah, I mean, you were saying about Jacoby Brissett. I think he can. I absolutely think he can. I think it's up to Kevin Stefanski to get them through. Call the appropriate plays, get the appropriate game plans in, because Jacoby's not going to make mistakes. He's going to make the right throws. He's going to make the right reads. Just make sure you're calling the game correctly. Run the football when you need to run the football. And it's going to be on the defense too. Again, the defense is much improved this year. I'm excited to see them. I think they've gelled. I think that's going to be definitely a good thing for them. So you add that into the mix, and I think that, again, I think this Browns team can definitely find a way to, stay above water, to tread water, because Jacoby, like I said, not going to win you a game. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to go out there and throw for 400 yards and a win, but he's a guy that's not going to lose you a game, and that's exactly what you need. It's going to be up to somebody else to win you the game. Your running backs, your defense. That's kind of the ground and pound way of the way they're going to have to play for these first 11 games.
And they are going to have to play that way for the first 11 games. That's for sure. Now we'll see what necessarily takes place with, Kevin Stefanski. Hayden, I would think that with Stefanski, one of my biggest question marks on him, I don't know if you would agree with this, but it's similar to what we were just talking about with Ohio State, the great adjustments that they made, especially even defensively. They only give up 10 points in the first half. They give up 0 in the second half. They're not allowing a team to play them that way, but it's those in-game and halftime adjustments that we don't always see from Kevin Stefanski. That's one of my biggest question marks for him to help lead this team through these first 11 games.
I think we lost him again. I went to look for his answer, and I just got it looks like he's winking at us right now.
Yeah. And I know he's driving back from family
Yeah.
stuff, and we're, trying to rush back for us, and we really appreciate that. Jay, I'll ask you as we work to get him back, as Hayden back here to finish out this segment, but adjustments, that's one of my biggest areas of concern with Kevin Stefanski.
Oh, I mean, like, for me, it's last year. It's like when oh, there we go. We got him back.
I think this is the last stretch of bad, because I know where the bad areas are, and I've kind of been like worried about them, and they've been as bad as I thought.
Yeah.
So I think this is the last bad stretch.
All right. Sounds good. But I mean, adjustments for Stefanski.
He needs to make them. He doesn't make them. He's never made them. He thinks it's his way or the highway, and I think that's a big part of the problem with the Browns. When's the last time you watched the Browns game and you thought, look at Ohio State yesterday? Ryan Day had a game plan in the first half. Jackson Smith and Jigba goes down. Completely changed the game plan, runs the football, wins the game. Kevin Stefanski, I think that when the Browns get hit in the mouth, he doesn't know how to respond. He thinks that because they usually don't get hit in the mouth. And that's the good part about them, is that they're usually the ones ready to go. They're ready to roll. They have their game plan. They're coming out. They're firing, right? But the problem is they don't know how to respond when they get hit in the mouth. And I think Kevin doesn't know how to respond well when he gets hit in the mouth. So this year, they have to respond. They have to be able to make adjustments. And that's on him. If they're trying to run the ball and it's not working, you're going to have to use Jacoby a little more. You're going to have to hate it. If they're throwing the ball, that's not.
One more bad spot.
One more bad spot.
One more bad spot.
It's like you kind of want to wait.
Yeah.
You're like, well, join back in.
Yeah. I mean, but
For me, like, the adjustment I want to see, I was trying to say is, now he's back, but I wanted to say at the end of the games, I'd like to see him just run the ball more and close it out. Like, he gets kind of cute with his play calling, and a lot more passing than I'd like to see. Like, Nick Chubb at one season averaged like 10 yards a carry in the fourth quarter. Give the man the ball in the fourth quarter. He's pretty good at it.
Yeah, we do have Hayden back with us. But Hayden, everything you're saying is right.
Yeah, I told you that last stretch. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's with Kevin. He's got to again, he always comes out with they're always prepared. They always come in with a good game plan. They're always pretty disciplined. They don't have huge penalty problems. The problem is when this is the NFL, you're going to get hit in the mouth. How do you respond? They never could. Last year, I don't think they came back one time in a game. They always got beat because they wouldn't be able to come back because they wouldn't be able to, adjust. And again, what happens if you kick something off and something happens and they take it back, or you throw a ball and it gets tipped and picked and you're already down 7-0. How do you adjust? They haven't done that.
No, yeah. If they don't hit first, which you're not, it's an 18 game season, 17 games for each team to play. You're not always going to be able to hit first. What you think will hit first won't always. Can you switch things up? And you said it best. He just hasn't done it. So that'll be a one thing to kind of watch, especially early in the season, as Jacoby gets his legs underneath him, and you get some of these starters that didn't play in the preseason at all. People were saying, well, the Browns didn't have this guy. They didn't have this guy. They have those guys starting on Sunday next week. So now it's time to hit the ground running, pun intended, and see what you can actually do with all this other talent around. Jacoby with the best offensive line he has had. Don't want to take up too much time with the Browns, and be remiss if I didn't get a chance to ask you this, because I follow you on TikTok, Hayden, and I love all of your videos. Love listening to your music as well. But to see that moment with Michael Bublé recognizing you in the crowd and kind of having that moment, what was that like? And did you know that he followed you or anything like that?
So yeah. So I mean, first of all, the moment was.
We can't have you breaking up on the story, man. Look, as soon as you get to the story, you start breaking up. I was like, no. All right, you got to start the story over. You broke up.
We're good. I think we're good. We're getting better.
Getting
Okay,
better.
anyway. Okay, so you got me now?
Yeah.
Better?
Gotcha.
Okay. All right. So basically, yes. First of all, it was just a remarkable moment for me, for so many reasons. Because, I mean, obviously, I've looked up to the guy since I was 10 years old, and I for some reason I resonated with his when everybody else was listening to rock and pop and rap and stuff. I was listening to Sinatra and Bobby Darin, and Michael was. Those guys were all dead. Those guys were all dead. Michael was alive, and he kept the music alive, and he's somebody that meant a lot to me and got me through a lot of mentally difficult times. So I posted one day, I don't know, something on Twitter or Instagram about him and his music, and he responded via Instagram DM and was very gracious and kind, and it was awesome. And I thought that was gonna be a one-time thing, yada yada yada. A couple more months go by, and he has a new album out. So they invited me, or they were telling people to send in questions for him about the album. So I sent in a question via video. It was video questions, and I got one of the video questions sent in, and he read it and he recognized me, and he was like, "I know that guy. That's Hayden." I was like, "Oh my god!" And then a couple more months go by, and I am on TikTok, and he's on TikTok, and I get one morning, I wake up and he liked one of my videos and followed me, and I was like, "What on earth is happening?" So I didn't know. I went to the show in Pittsburgh on Thursday night, and I kind of mentioned on TikTok that I was going, but I didn't tag him or anything. So I really don't know if he knew I was going or not. I don't. I have no idea. I don't know if he knew or not. But what I do know is that when I got there, and when the show started, I was sitting in the second row. People spend their money on a lot of things. I spend my money on good tickets to a show. So I was in the second row, and he kind of gave me a look, and he knew. I knew he recognized that I was there, and I was like, that's pretty cool. And I was like, all right, well, whatever. We'll see what happens. And then, he sings a couple songs, and he sings the song Home. And he's sitting there, and he's like, the audience cheers, and he's like, thanks, thanks everybody. I want to ask, he kind of goes into a little spiel about I want to ask you guys about, you guys have TikTok. Anybody here out there have TikTok? And, the audience kind of gave like a half-ass scream because I don't think there were a lot of people that had it. But he's like, well, I never, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to, like, I've never done this before, but there's something I want to do. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, kind of weird, whatever. And he's like, but he looks at me and points, and I was like, my heart dropped into my stomach. And I was like, holy crap, what is that? Like, what is going to happen right now? I had no idea what's going to happen. I just saw him point and look at me, and I was like, oh, F. Like, this is what I don't know what's happening. And then everything that happened, and I kind of blacked out, and it was really remarkable. And, he told everybody to blow up my TikTok, and I think almost 30,000 followers later, I think he's done a pretty good job of it.
I was going to ask, did it
I mean,
work?
he could shoot me a shout out on Twitter. I can use some 30,000 followers.
Yeah. I went from 30,000. I'm at like 55,000 now. I mean,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't care about the funny thing is, people are like, oh, that's, you're going to be, the moment was way cooler than any follow.
Yeah.
I don't care about that.
The whole situation is awesome though.
The following is great. And like, I hope it allows me to get my music out there more and all that. I could never be, more indebted to him, but the moment was way cooler than any amount of follow. Like,
I'm glad it was all on tape too, because like you said, when you're in those moments, you kind of black out, and they're like, "What happened?" You're like, "I don't really remember. It was so fast." But you get to like rewatch that. That's got to be really cool.
I haven't. I can't rewatch it. I just can't. There's something in me like I don't even know. It just like gets me emotional. It gets me like all kinds of like crazy. I can watch it, but I just don't know that I.
Hey, if you ever have kids, you can show them that one day though.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be able to watch it, but it's fresh. And so it was funny actually, and this is the part of the story I don't think I've told anyone yet. So when he was saying these things, and I was kind of with you, like I'm blacking out right now. Like I was like, I was like, I think I said something like, can I get a selfie or something when he was asking me questions, and I don't think he heard me because I was like, I just want to make sure that something like somebody got this, like there's some sort of proof that this happened. And the lady in front of me, God bless her heart, filmed the entire thing without me even knowing. Like, she was like, she turned around. She's like, I filmed the whole thing. Do you want it? And I said, yes. Oh my God. Like that's the most amazing thing ever. Thank you so much. She said, no problem. We're from Cleveland too. And I was like, that's where
we had Ricky Smith on a few weeks ago, and we were saying how Cleveland people always look after each other. We're just known for it.
And yes, and she didn't even I didn't know she was in Cleveland, but there's a connection there, and I was like, that's why you filmed that, and I appreciate that so much.
It was such a special moment to watch. I get why you say you can't watch it back right now. That's totally understandable, but getting into this business and being out in front of and being at practices of the sports teams, the players we look up to and stuff, people don't think that people like us in the industry would still look up to certain people. But I mean, that's the power of not just sports, but anything that you're passionate about, is like, especially music, the power of music to get you through things and to have those people and then to make those connections with those people at the same time. I felt goosebumps for you just watching that moment. Like that was, I would say well-deserved moment, because you're a person that I've kind of followed and looked up to as well on how to do things, how to operate, how to be a professional in this business. So that was a cool moment to see for you, Hayden, that I feel like you definitely deserved. And for the singer that you are too, I mean, people got to catch more of your music too.
I appreciate that. That all means a lot. Sincerely, I appreciate that, and I think the thing about journalism that's really hard for me is that I'll admit, yes, it's my job to be unbiased to a degree, but I'm not necessarily a beat reporter. I'm not necessarily like a columnist. My job is social media, and I get to do a lot of reporting, and I try to be objective. But at the end of the day, I am a people person. I do have feelings, and I have emotions and thoughts, and I want people to succeed. I want to see people, do their best and be happy and just be great. I want to see them do great things. So, I think also that when it comes to guys like LeBron, who I mentioned, LeBron came around the same year that Michael did in 2003. And, I was 10 years old, and LeBron was my hero growing up. I can't sit here and not acknowledge that. I think what I can do is, be objective. If he doesn't play a good game, you just got to say that. But I still believe objectively, whether it's only because of, because of my age and having only seen him play, I do objectively believe he's the greatest basketball player of all time. And I don't think I don't think that my, his heroism or my heroism for him, or his heroism for me, like, has anything to do with that. So it's hard to be objective. I try my best, but I do fail because I do want people to succeed. I do want to see people do well. I try to have a good heart. I do care about people. And, I think sometimes journalism can be a cold-hearted business, and sports are meant to be fun, man. I think that's the thing that I try to take away, is that you can take it seriously and you can take your job seriously, and you should, but it is sports, and it's something to get away from our problems. And same with music. Music is something that is meant to take us away, something that's meant to bring us joy. And so I don't think, I'd rather see people do well and succeed than try to tear them down. That's all.
Absolutely. I couldn't say it much better. And that's one thing that I've admired about the work that you've done is, yes, keeping things objective, but allowing that people person that you are to kind of come through, because I think that makes things even more genuine and helps to connect with more people. Because, there's always going to be people sitting up behind a keyboard that are going to have their thoughts and are going to take it way too far. But more people are going to admire and connect with the way people like you and other people in the industry kind of present the information, while still objectively having that people person side come through. And I think that's really great. And it's been really great to have you on here, Hayden. I know you're getting back from a cookout, and we're going to be wrapping up here in just a little bit, but we can't thank you enough for taking the time and sharing that story here towards the end.
Yes. And till the next time I just randomly run into you again, because I seem to run into Hayden everywhere.
Well, hopefully I can be that next person that runs into him.
No, for sure. And I appreciate you guys having me. And I apologize again. I just looked at the clock and it was 7:00. I was, talking to my family, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta go. So I apologize for
all right.
I apologize for the connectivity issues. I didn't think they would be this bad. But,
I was actually laughing more.
You guys staying patient with me.
Your face freezes are kind of funny.
It adds another element too, but family always comes first, so no apologies necessary. We totally get it. Family will always come first, and that's one thing we always make sure we tell people on the show too. So thank you so much, Hayden. We look forward to having you on again soon, and hopefully not just Jay, but hopefully I can run into you here in person here soon too as well.
Yeah, man, would love that. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. You have a good night and a safe trip the final way home there. That is Hayden Grove from Cleveland.com. Covers sports through social media, but also a singer. And if you follow him, H_Grove on Twitter and throughout social media, he'll always post where he's going to be singing next. We got one break to do, even though we're after 8:00. We're just going to put this break in. I got one question to go around, and then we're going to wrap it up. This is going to be a minute segment after this final break. Fastest segment ever on the Big Play Network and the Voice of the Land.
Are you looking for a career in manufacturing? Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that is partnered with some of the biggest and the best companies throughout Northeastern Ohio. The recruiters at Vector Technical will coach you through the entire job process and will help you land an opportunity that you are truly excited about. Vector does not add any additional fees and offers benefits as well as free online skills training through Penn Foster. To learn more, visit www.vectortechnicalinc.com and make sure to check out our job board to see a full list of our current opportunities and apply.
As D-Generation X used to say, are you ready? This is the fastest segment ever on the Voice of the Land and the Big Play Network. I got one question for you guys because I was just thinking about it on the drive in. Where is your excitement level at? This is a question I wanted to ask Hayden, but I didn't get a chance. But I got to ask you guys, where is your honest excitement level at for Browns football this season after such a long, arduous, tumultuous, unprecedented, whatever you want to call it, off-season? Audio, I'll start with you.
Well, that's a good question because I don't know. because I just don't know what to expect.
That's why I
But
asked.
but I will. I mean, I'm
That's where
I'm
at.
really kind of excited that there's so much potential, but with the whole quarterback situation, it just throws such a monkey wrench into it. But I will say that for the first time in several years, I'm looking forward to Baker Mayfield losing an opening game.
Jay, I'm not going to comment on that.
I'm actually extremely excited, but that's just because I'm a football junkie for one. Like I absolutely love football. NFL is just, I love it. Fantasy football, everything about it. But when it comes to the Browns, I was mostly excited about this defense. Like I'm super excited to see what they can do. I have high expectations for this team. And me personally, and if you like when we had Dimitri Felton on, he even pointed out, he goes, you love running backs. I'm like, of course I love running backs. And I'm just hoping this year's offense is predicated on the run and not the pass as much. And we just play tough defense. And I love that brand of football. So personally, I'm excited for the season. I love smash mouth, tough defense, run the ball offense. I just hope they actually do that. So I'm worried, but excited at the same time.
Well, I love Smash Mouth football too, but that's one of the elements that is the reason why I don't know how to be excited or what level of excitement to have. Because, if we do run the football with great running backs, now we're running him into the ground and we're wasting another year of prime where we don't have a quarterback in place. And
what I'm hoping though is that we have that huge running back room. Is that they're not just doing that. They're giving Chubb 15. They're giving 15 to Hunt. They're giving a little more to Dearness Johnson than they did last year. And then they let the rookie come in.
But I can't trust Kevin Stefanski to do
I know.
that.
That's the biggest question is what is he going to do? We think we know what they should do, but we're just morons behind a mic. It's like, it's like I said, it's such a, we have no idea what it's going to be.
This is the only reason I wanted to ask, because I wanted to see if we were all in the same boat. That it's like, yes, excited because NFL football is back on Thursday and Browns play next Sunday, but don't really know. Like you can't grasp it this year. Like I would love to be just up here this whole show being like, your official Browns postgame show on the Big Play Network comes back next week after the Browns take on the Panthers in Carolina. Baker against the Browns. What happens? I would love to be like that guy, like have that voice the whole time. I don't know.
I'm actually glad you don't have that voice the whole time. But
why not?
Because your other voice is better. But
thanks.
I think it's our fear of like, we've been through like so many crappy seasons. Like, are we going to end up watching just 10 points, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and then the defense is great, but they're burnt out by the end of this game, and like there is that fear that sits there, like with us, like as fans.
With so much talent, though, like that's what makes it hard, because we've kind of gone out into seasons with all of the hope, but still in the back of our minds knowing there's some crap on this roster. I don't know how this 53 was put together, but it made sense when the team went 1-15 or 4-12, whatever it was, like some crappy, way below 500 record. But the fear of having that happen this year with everything else outside of the most important position in all of sports, without that piece, and to then know that, well, you kind of have that guy that's waiting in the wings, but everything off the field, I cannot get past that. Again, if people have, that's totally fine. Don't tell me how to feel. That's the only thing I'll ever tell people. Don't tell other people how to feel. If you feel very excited, let us know. Tweet at us. We want to try to get that excitement going.
I mean, there's no absolutes.
But it's been right, and there's no absolutes.
Like if someone gets hurt and someone roots for that, I'm going to tell you that's feeling wrong. That's wrong. You don't root. I'm saying, like there's opposites, like obviously, but for the most part, don't tell people how to feel.
If you are expecting, no matter which way the game goes next week, if the Browns win, if you're expecting us to bury a certain former player, that's not going to happen. If we lose to a certain player in his team that used to play here with the Browns, we are not going to cry our eyes out about that one player. We are going to focus on what happens in the game.
As far as I'm concerned, we're playing the Carolina Panthers.
Yes, we are not playing just Baker Mayfield.
But I don't want to lose to him either. Just because I don't want to hear that noise that comes from that.
Twitter will be the fakest place faker than it's ever been in its entire history. If that were to happen, no matter what happens, somehow it's all going to be focused on that. And that's the word that's going to be trending no matter what. People are going to get on their high horse because they were right. People are going to make excuses if they were wrong. All of these things. Browns, Panthers next week, 7:00 right here. Big Play Network at VT_pod at Big Play across social media. Your Browns post-game show. React with us. We'll break it all down the right way, not the way that Twitter personalities in a fake space of fake spaces will try to tell you.
Well, Tevin, you don't make predictions. I'm going to do it for us then each week. Browns win 23-17.
And that's what it is. Voice of the Land's prediction, 23-17 Browns, courtesy of Always Positive J for Always Positive J and audio or producer extraordinaire. I'm Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you sports fans out there that may or may not have been the quickest segment ever in the Voice of the Land history or Big Play history.
Yeah, it probably was.
But don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all, 3,000. And all gas, no brakes. That's the way Mike Allen used to live, and that's the way we're going to continue his legacy. Living life, all gas, no brakes. Go for it. If you got something in mind, go for it. Music, sports, whatever it might be, go for it.
Hey, don't talk about it. Be about it.
Don't talk about it. Be about it. We got 4 sayings on this show. We'll keep building that.
By the end of a couple of years, we're probably going to have 13 sayings or so.
And we have officially passed the point of this being the quickest segment ever. So for all the guys here at the Voice of the Land, have a great rest of your Labor Day weekend. We will see you next week as the Browns season kicks off. NFL football is back. What will happen? We'll break it all down right here on the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.